Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very
much. Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Come on in, grab a plate. I have some food that I want to serve you, some food for thought. Double salute to everyone that's watching me live and live in color. Double salute to everyone watching the replay of this live. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Become a member of the Roll the Tape family. Become a supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew when you join. Shout out to everybody showing me love in the live chat. What's up, Big Matt? That's my guy right there. Enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. Alycia Baumgardner has a fight coming up this fall. I don't really know how to pronounce the other boxer's name. They said it today at the press conference, but I forgot. Elif. Is it Elif or Elif? Elif. I think she's from another country. I think she's from Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. She's definitely from another country. Her and Alycia Baumgardner, they are scheduled to fight on November the 8th, 2026, this year, closing out the year. And I think it's good for boxing because we have some upcoming fights throughout the fall. You know, in September, of course, in a few weeks, we have Ryan Garcia, which we're going to get to that in a little bit. Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben. October, just announced, Sebastian from Dora will be defending his titles in the 154-pound division. I think a week after that, in October, Kid Austin returns to the ring after he fought Tevin Farmer, got that first round TKO back in June of 2025. Then, of course, now in November the 8th, to be exact, Alycia Baumgardner against Elif. I think this is a good fight for both fighters. I mean, Elif just fought a few months ago, literally a few months ago, back in June of this year when she fought Gabriela Tellez, a female boxer who was undefeated with 7 wins and no losses. And she is now being considered Alycia Baumgardner's toughest challenge to date. And I think this is really going to be a good fight. I do. Alycia Baumgardner, 18 wins, 1 loss. 7 of her wins have come by way of knockout. And she literally fought a few months ago as well, back in April of this year when she fought Bo Shin, who was 19 wins and 3 losses. And of course, that fight went the distance. Alycia Baumgardner, who was expected to win that fight, right? Being the A side, she won that fight. And I think now we have a situation where we have evenly matched opponents. And I know a lot of times we see a lot of mismatch fights where one fighter is more skilled or experienced than their opponent. So it may not be as entertaining. That happens a lot in boxing. But at the same time, right, this fight right here is evenly matched, of course, on paper. And, you know, Elif, she can fight. She can fight. Now we already know Alycia. We know what Alycia come to do. Alycia can fight. I know that Clarissa Shields say that Alycia Baumgardner is a bum, but I think she's just saying that because they have this long history of beef. They used to be cool at one point in time. You know, they used to be really, really cool. But Alycia is no bum. Great boxing skills, great technique, and she come to fight. A lot of grit, you know, in her last couple of fights, particularly the one where the fight went 12 rounds. Okay. Her first time going 12 rounds. She had to bite down on her mouthpiece. You know, she had to bite down and dig deep. And that's what world champions do. But I think this fight come November 8th between Elif and Alycia Baumgardner is really going to be a good fight. And I think that as a boxing community, we should always try to put women's boxing in the forefront, especially when they have fights coming up, because boxing is boxing, right? I don't look at it as gender over here, gender over there. The men get paid more than the women. The women are being slighted. I don't look at that like that at all, actually. You know, considering the business of boxing. But when we're talking about just boxing, the sport, just as a fan of boxing, just as a supporter of boxing, whether you are a casual or hardcore boxing fan, I think that we all have a responsibility to promote women's boxing and talk about it and keep it in the forefront of content, because it's still boxing. And anytime professional boxers can bring eyeballs to the sport, especially be a beacon of hope for the amateur boxers, male and female, it's always a good thing. And I do think that on paper, of course, this is a competitive fight, but I think when they get in the ring, Elif and Alycia, I think that it is going to be an entertaining fight. And these are the fights that we want to see in boxing. I mean, you know, every now and then we do have our, like I said earlier, we have our mismatches where someone's overmatched. We get that. That's the business of boxing. We get it. Particularly in the preliminary stages of building a fighter. We get it. But at some point, these fighters have to fight top level competition. I mean, look, speaking of the October fight with Kid Austin and his next opponent. Look, guess what? Competitive fight. And I think Kid Austin is like, what, 23? That's the type of fights we want to see him in. More competitive fights. And also is giving him an opportunity to grow and develop while he's still on the job. And I think that's the great thing about what boxing is going to be doing for all of us fans, casual and hardcore, this fall. Starting with Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben, and then Sebastian Fundora's fighting in October, Kid Austin in October, Alycia Baumgardner in November, right? Jamal Charlo, he had visa issues, so he couldn't go across the pond. He will be on the undercard of that Sebastian Fundora uh, fight as well in October. So this is good. It's good when we have boxing happening more consistently. It's good. It's really good. So Alycia Baumgardner, very talented fighter, highly decorated. She is definitely not a bum. She has a lot of skills. She can bang it out too now. Alycia can bang it out. She can box and she can bang it out. It's not a lot of fighters that can do that, male or female, particularly the female boxers. So we have to give credit where it's due. I mean, she is a world champion. And we want to see our world champions step up to the plate and defend their titles with better competition. I don't know if this is true or not. I didn't conduct my own personal research on it. I didn't really get a chance to yet. But I just heard a few hours ago, if I'm not mistaken, that Shakur Stevenson is in negotiations to fight Manny Pacquiao. Don't know I don't know how true that is. That's what I heard. Don't know how true that is though. A lot of times reports will come out, this fighter is in negotiations with that fighter. Sometimes you got to take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, I don't know what fight Shakur's going to fight with a Manny Pacquiao who's much older. I don't know what weight they're going to fight at, since Shakur Stevenson is only interested in doing catch weights at 144 pounds. Manny Pacquiao, we know he fights at 147 pounds and north of 147 pounds. So I don't know. But I would like to see our world champions fight better competition. This is not a knock on Manny Pacquiao, but I mean, there's other fighters that deserve the opportunity to fight Shakur. Not only to deserve the opportunity, but the fans deserve the opportunity to see Shakur Stevenson capitalize off of his back-to-back wins, notably speaking, his win against Teofimo Lopez. So Shakur fighting better competition now. It's time for it. That's not a knock on an older, retired, unretired, then retired, then unretired Manny Pacquiao. He's a legend in the sport. Future Hall of Famer. Already a Hall of Famer, really, in the eyes of most. Multi-division world champion. Has absolutely nothing else to prove. But we want our world champions to fight top level competition. I think it's time for it. All of the fighters, Keyshawn Davis included, Devin Haney included, Brian Norman Jr., he's back in the ranks now, included, right? Jerron Boots Ennis, he just fought and won those world titles, both of them. So these are the type of fights that we want to see. Capitalize off of these big wins. Capitalize off of them. And keep fighting. Top level competition, moving forward. Now, I told y'all this before, and I'll tell you again. It's not customary in the business of boxing for fighters to fight. I don't want to use the K word, Killer, but tough opposition. And when I say tough, I mean like super tough. Every single fight. The business of boxing, and not even the sport of boxing, is designed that way. killer after killer after killer after killer. No. You know, they are human now. They possess great skills, but there's nothing safe about getting hit in the face, the head, and the body repeatedly every couple of months. If you can go in there as a fighter and fight lower level competition just as a tune up, that's customary, standard in boxing. That's great. But your next fight after that, oh yeah, it has to be against a top level opponent. And we haven't seen that consistently over the years in boxing. And so we need to see more of matchups like this that we're going to see November 8th this year. LF against Alycia Baumgardner. I mean, it was a good press conference today. Very wholesome. There's nothing like a lady being modest and being respectful. There's nothing like it in boxing. Yeah, it's cool if they talk trash every now and then. Of course, they have to galvanize the fan base and, of course, the casual boxing fans and community to buy into what they're selling. But at some point, a level of professionalism should be maintained. So I think this fight between Alycia Baumgardner and Elif, I think we're in for a treat. Both ladies come in the ring 100%, ready to give their 100%. Oh yeah, good boxing. We're in for a treat, and that's the type of matchups we need to see. Like even now, right? Like to my point, Ryan Garcia is fighting Conor Ben. Ryan Garcia just fought beginning of this year, won the WBC world title against Mario Barrios. Conor Ben, to the contrary, he just fought a few months ago, and he fought Regis Prograis. So to my point, Conor is fighting Regis a couple months ago. That's good. But now your next fight, let it be top level opposition. This is good business. Ryan Garcia's last fight was against Mario Barrios. Some people even had Ryan Garcia losing his fight against Mario Barrios. But not only did he win, he won in dramatic fashion. Of course, he came off of a loss fighting Rolly Romero, but he redeemed himself. And I also think he's redeeming himself now because now that he is going to fight Conor Ben, and we know, according to VADA's website and VADA's standard, Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, at the minimum 8 weeks prior to a scheduled fight, they begin random style testing. At least they facilitate it. And so word on the street is, of course, as we know, we're definitely within the 8 weeks of their scheduled fight, Ryan Garcia and Conor. So yeah, they're testing. And don't forget also, Ryan Garcia is already enrolled in the clean boxing program with the WBC, right? So he's already an automatic candidate for VADA testing. What makes this good news is because we already know the history that Ryan Garcia had little over 2 years ago when he fought Devin Haney, and he tested positive for trace amounts of ostarine. And he served a disciplinary suspension by the New York State Athletic Commission for 1 year, and also was fined $1 million. And of course, he have constantly professed his innocence since then. And he even came out publicly for months after the fight, for weeks before even this fight, saying that he has no problem testing for VADA. Now, he also said months after the fight in the same breath that he don't want to test for VADA anymore. He wants to explore other alternatives, maybe a USADA to test for. But of course, none of that matters now because he's the WBC champion and he's already automatically enrolled in VADA testing. So it looks like Ryan Garcia is willing to take VADA testing. And I think this is also great because if Ryan Garcia wins against Conor Ben in Las Vegas and he's willing to take VADA testing, why not us see Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia in a unification bout, considering if Devin Haney don't secure a fight at least by the end of this year? He still has time. But that would be a great fight, a great rematch. Both guys willing to take VADA testing, even playing field. This is something that Devin Haney and his father, his trainer and manager, Bill Haney, have been advocating for regarding Ryan Garcia anyway. And so if Ryan Garcia wins against Conor Ben, that means he will retain the WBC title and he will stay enrolled in the clean boxing program. That's good business. Now, I'm not saying Devin Haney should wait for Ryan Garcia to see if he's going to win or lose. I mean, Devin already did that back when Ryan Garcia fought Rolly Romero. And he fought Ramirez. And guess what happened? Ryan Garcia lost. So I'm not saying Devin should wait for him. I'm just saying if Devin has a fight at the end of the year, maybe in the beginning of the year, maybe in the middle of 2027, in May, to be exact, we can see the rematch between a Devin Haney and a Ryan Garcia. And I'm saying May because, hey, Canelo Alvarez, I mean, look, we know he take those dates, May and September. But it looks like Ryan Garcia is moving in the slot in substitution for Canelo because he's fighting in September. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying that's what it looks like because that would be really good if we can have a Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. If Ryan Garcia wins, right, against Conor Ben, May of 2027. Man, that's good business. But the fact that Ryan Garcia is willing to take VADA testing, again, even though he said he wasn't willing to, then he switched up and said he's willing to do it. And then he was like, whatever. I don't care. Then, of course, he won the WBC title. So at this point, it don't matter whether or not he wants to or not. He pursued the WBC title, knowing that if he wins, he will automatically be enrolled in VADA testing. But I've always been an advocate for clean sport. And so I'm glad that Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben is going to be taking VADA testing for this fight. I mean, look, don't forget, it's unfortunate, but Conor Ben tested positive for performance enhancement drugs years ago. Now, I know he said it was because something in the eggs that the chickens was hatching out in Mexico. Well, and out in London. First it was Mexico, then they said in the UK. Then they just stopped saying it was in Mexico and they just kept it strictly on the eggs in the UK. This is the reports I'm saying when I say they, originally. Originally, reports came out, it was from eggs in the UK. Then they said something about Mexico. Then, of course, people start speculating because of what happened with Canelo Alvarez some years before that, where Canelo Alvarez said it was him testing positive for a banned substance because of contaminated meat in his home country of Mexico, right? Fight had to get canceled between Conor Ben, if y'all remember, and Eubanks the first time years ago because Conor been tested positive for a banned substance, and he was out of the sport for a long time. And we haven't heard any reports or seen any documentation on what was the final outcome. Yes, we know that the UCAD out there was like, yeah, it's cool. The British board um of control out there was like, okay, no findings, but we didn't see any evidentiary documentation. But bottom line is they was cool with whatever defense Conor Ben and Eddie Hearn had, and they let Conor Ben get reinstated, relicensed, and now, of course, he's fighting here in America again. And he's fighting Ryan Garcia, but now we have to make sure that this fight is on an even playing field, and he's tested as well. Of course, they're going to test both fighters. I would like to see VADA do something else because we haven't seen VADA do this lately because we haven't heard of VADA doing any testing within the past year, if I'm not mistaken. What I would like to see VADA place Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben on their websites. I would like to see that. For sure, for sure. That they are enrolled in VADA testing. They usually acknowledge the date that they begin their enrollment, both fighters. And that way, there's accountability for both fighters. And both fighters tested positive for a banned substance in their history in boxing. So I think it's good for the sport, to allow both of these two warriors, these two world champions, to test, be consistent in their testing, keeping things on an even playing field, publicly acknowledging that they're being tested through VADA. And it's just good for business at the end of the work week. And this is the type of credibility that boxing have to continue to have, because every time a professional boxer miss weight, every time a professional boxer tests positive for a banned substance, every time a professional boxer land fouls like low blows and rabbit punches, majority of the casual boxing fans will interpret it as a black eye to the sport of boxing. And considering the entire history of the sport of boxing has got punched in the face a lot of times and came out of a lot of scrubs with black eyes. And so anytime we can continue to preserve the integrity of the sport, as I try my best to do here, anytime we can preserve the integrity of the business of boxing, as I try my best to do here, it's always a good thing. And so they will be fighting in the next couple of weeks. Ryan Garcia, Conor Ben, I think that's going to be a good fight. I definitely think that Conor Ben is going to let his hands go. I definitely think Ryan Garcia is going to try to do that shoulder roll, which he needs to work on. I do think Ryan Garcia is going to let his hands go in spots. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. I'm not going to give a thorough breakdown now, but as time progresses, I will give a breakdown. And not only that, but when we start opening up the panel, people can join in so that we can all give our assessment of how this fight's going to look between Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben. How the fight's going to look with Sebastian Fundora that just got announced today. Jamar Charlo, the fight that just got announced today. Alycia Baumgardner and Elif, fight that's going to happen November 8th. I'm hearing once again, Shakur Stevenson supposed to be in negotiations to fight Manny Pacquiao. Don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. But we know Kid Austin He has a tough opposition in his next fight coming up in October. Yeah. Type of fights we want to see. Some challenges. I'm hearing Victor Ortiz is supposed to be moving up in weight to 160. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know how true that is. I heard that they're lobbying to fight Jermell Charlo, who basically haven't fought in a couple of years. I mean, look, that's what everybody's saying now, right? And I want to give my take on that really soon, live, because a lot of people said that Boots ducked Virgil Ortiz from last February of 2025 to now. Some people still saying it. And now that Boots won both titles at the 154-pound weight division, we got representatives of Virgil talking about moving up to 160. You know, Clarissa Shields. Thank you, Dodge J. You're right. Clarissa Shields. I think she made a reference several times in recent interviews that she will be fighting her next opponent probably sometime December this year, January 2027. So we have some fights coming up from, you know, the next couple of weeks in September all the way to the end of the year, possibly January. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They both signed the paperwork agreeing to the terms. They just trying to find a date. Turki Al-Sheikh and the rest of them, Nick Khan, they all trying to find a date. Eddie Hearn was in an interview recently, spoke on that. I want to talk about that in the live. The contention is that Eddie Hearn, his words not mine, they signed originally agreeing to the terms, but that the fight will take place between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in the UK. But I believe Turkey and the Saudis, they want that fight to happen here in the States, in America. So we have a lot of boxing coming up, and I think this is what we need in the sport. I don't know what's going to happen to Tank Davis. We don't know when Gervonta Tank Davis is going to come back. But when he does, we got to make room for him. We don't know when Devin Haney's going to fight next. But when he does, we have to make room for him. I mean, it is a lot of fights coming up in the next couple of months. So I don't know if we can squeeze Devin or a Tank in the pockets. And the reason why I'm saying that is because right now, the zone is saturated with all of the managers and boxing promoters under one roof over there, except for, of course, Zuffa Boxing and their fighters. But all of the other major promoters, they all have exclusive deals with the zone. So we look forward to good boxing, competitive fights moving forward from all the fights I just mentioned, and even the upcoming fights on the undercards. Can't forget about those fighters as well. Got to talk about all fighters. I'm for all the fighters, you know. But my only thing is top level competition. Everybody done got some easy wins and easy fights under their belts thus far. We get it. I'm not saying fighting killer after killer after killer. But the climate of where we are in the sport, these fighters, particularly the world champions, got to step up their levels now. Step up their level of competition. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it.